Life is full of surprises. You never know what's going to happen next. Okay, this is about my new book, right? Borderline Dreamtime, which is going to come out in January. Hey, it's my birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm 59, and how this all began when I was in the tsunami with my wife, Prita. I was so deeply affected by my experiences during and after the tsunami, I began to think I should write a book. Well, first of all, I had Mind Bomb, which basically when I started writing, like most writers, I didn't really have a clue what I was doing. And so I cooked up this story and hand wrote 1,000 pages, which turned out to be enough for 2 books. So now in the second book, which is called Borderline Dreamtime, is about Angus and his gang travelling overland to India in the early 70s. And the hippie trail to Kathmandu and Goa is used as a backdrop for a good drug-fueled adventure story, but also to present my kind of spiritual ideas and my take on the life process and what it's all about somehow. They say write what you know about, so I write what I know about. I know about sex, drugs and rock and roll and meditation and travel. By writing about people that you know and bearing their image in mind, it's easier to summon up the spirit of the character sort of thing, Well, I see that your mind is always just running out stuff, and often what your mind puts out, you can disregard it because it's not going to happen. And that's something that I really I see with writing, whereby you really use your mind as a tool. And therefore, when you finish writing and you switch off, you can hear the mind chattering like a monkey. But it's very much clear that it's a distinct entity that's apart from you. It's not who you are. Another thing I like about the discipline of writing, you use your mind, but it helps you not to let your mind use you. I mean, I travelled overland to India 3 times, starting in the early 70s. I was just a kid, basically. And in retrospect, when you think about what's going on in countries like Afghanistan now, it's really quite amazing to think that quite literally hundreds of thousands of hippies went overland to India and hung out in Afghanistan and sampled what was available. I mean, those were great times, man. The hash they made back then in Afghanistan was fantastic. It was psychedelic. I loved it. I couldn't get enough of the stuff. Sometimes you have to get into something to get out of it. I mean, painting for me is like a luxury. I love painting, and I mean, painting's fun, because you can listen to music for a start, whereas with writing, I see writing as work and a real discipline, because I can't have any sound around me when I'm writing. Well, when I write, I enter into the world of my characters, and I'm just completely gone. So I don't like any external stimulus to keep me in the world. Whereas painting is just much more physical and really just fun, you know. So I love painting, and I'm getting back into that at the moment. It's just something I love doing. So maybe we set up some pictures so you have some still shots to mix in. I'm very pleased with this particular painting actually. I feel like I painted it before. I like to give, you know, I get a kick out of giving, and in a way, as I said earlier on, my books are my way of giving to life. These paintings are kind of like my babies. You know, I create them and they'll all find a home one day and they will outlive me, and that's my little mark, that's my little signature in the world, you know. Here today, gone tomorrow, but you can leave something beautiful for people to enjoy, you know. But on the other hand, I also remember something Osho said that I've always carried with me, and he said that one of the most absurd things that a person can be concerned about is how they will be remembered when they're dead. And I can get into that. He's right, that is absurd. You know, when you're gone, you know. Well, you know, how I see the whole thing with Osho now, for me he was the most remarkable person I ever had the pleasure of meeting, and he was a great guy. The thing is with somebody like that though is that they're so charismatic. I mean, you know, some people go, oh, Osho and all this, but I mean, I saw stainless steel egos melt in that man's hands, and he was really quite a force. But the thing is that people start worshipping the guru rather than getting into his message, which is really to look inside of yourself. In a nutshell, I see my time with Osho as it's history, it's past, it's over. I showed up there in Pune in late '74 and I met Osho, and he asked me, you know, what have you been doing with your life? And I said, I've been taking LSD every week for the past 6 years. And he said, very good. And I went, oh, this guy's, I didn't expect that. And then he roped me in and showed me and taught me how that the real way to, if you want to get up on the holy mountain, which he said, look, you've been to the top of the holy mountain, you've seen the view up there. But when the acid wore off, I was always back down in the foothills again, maybe even further down than when I'd started off on the journey. And he said, if you want to, you know, get up there and hang out there in the heights, you start meditating. So I followed his advice, and I eventually got addicted to his meditation techniques, which is another obstacle that you have to overcome, because meditation techniques are not meditation, they're techniques, they're crutches, they're a technique to get you to a place where meditation is happening spontaneously in your life. The whole idea of meditation being to bring you into the present, into the here and now, because in the here and now you can be. There is no mind. Mind is always here or there. It's, you know, it's never right now in the moment. I came here because I met Anand, who I knew from Afghanistan and Pune, and Anand said come to Ibiza, and I had never heard of Ibiza. That was in the early 80s, and so I just chucked everything in the back of an old Mercedes one day and drove down here with Prita and Tim. It's a beautiful place to live. It's not for everybody, but it's a super place physically to live. The environment is beautiful. If you like Mediterranean, it's wonderful. But apart from that, what's super about Ibiza is the density of incredibly creative, intelligent people on the ground here. And there are worlds within worlds in Ibiza. And I feel at home here, and actually 30 years down the line, I love Ibiza more than I ever did. It's just a fantastic place to live, and I feel privileged that I live here. And I feel blessed that I have so many people that I can call friends that I know here. And in the summer, you have this beautiful sea to swim in, and that's my big thing here. I love swimming in the sea, right out there in the big blue. I suppose if I have a guru, it's the big blue. It's always great to come back here. It's like the dream time, you know, that every place has its dream time, and in Ibiza now, the dream time is particularly dense. The psychic envelope here is very dense. And when you get out of here, you kind of get out and you go, man, what was that all about? Ibiza, a crazy place. And then you forget about Ibiza quickly. But when you come back and you return here, you go, wow, this is beautiful, fantastic. I'm lucky. Yeah, you were asking what's the borderline dream time, and I was thinking about it, which is always a dangerous thing. And it reminds me of something that somebody once said to me in India. India isn't a geographical location, it's an exalted state of mind that has to be dreamed into existence. Lara is my most enlightened female character. And she's just been involved in a scene where she's given a beggar a lot of money, and then she explains that the more I learn to give, the more thankful I am for learning life's true arithmetic. 1 + 1 makes 1, if you catch my transcendental drift. So the idea is any chance that you get to give something to someone in life, take it, because that lets you know that you're in the flow of life. It lets you know that you're alive. If you don't know how to give, you're already dead. You're dead already. That's too heavy, too profound. It's the spiritual stuff that I want to get over. Part of the book's job in the world is to clarify certain things that have come from the Eastern and Western culture. You know, like everybody talks about reincarnation, you know, like as if we just die and go for a midnight float and next thing we know we're in a body. And it isn't quite like that. What is spiritual growth? I mean, is it a divine tumor? What is it? And I'd say that spiritual growth comes from meditation, because through meditating you come back to yourself again and again and again. And the more that you come back to yourself, the self that is behind all this illusion, this Maya, the more that you come back to that self, the more that you grow. That grows and grows and grows until that's all there is, and that is enlightenment. Unfortunately, you won't be there to see it, because for enlightenment to happen, you have to get out of the way. I'll see you in Nirvana.